Hi, Ms. Van Wagner. My name is Connor Morris, and today's date is December 21st, 2017. I've been in your class this past semester in Multicultural Lit, where I've learned a lot of valuable lessons and a lot of techniques that I can use in the future. For the final step number 1, I chose question number 3, which was how does a character respond to cultural collision and explain its relevance. I chose to focus on a lesson before dying. First, I'd like to explain what the cultural collision is in this novel. Obviously, there is a big difference in the way society treats African Americans nowadays versus how they treated it during the time of this novel. The collision is obviously race, and Jefferson is mistreated because of the color of his skin. Throughout the novel, he's unfairly treated and faces a lot of discrimination that wouldn't exist today. Throughout the novel, he's actually called a hog, and he eventually learns to believe it. He even calls himself a hog at one point, saying, "I'm going to show you how an old hog eats." He quoted that while in jail while eating, and it just shows that the toll that the words of the jail keepers took on him was just inexplainable. He eventually learned that he believed that he was a hog. It wasn't just something like, someone calls you a hog. As wrong as that is, they don't believe it, But Jefferson believed that he was a hog. So Miss Emma and Mr. Grant were faced with the task of trying to convince him that he was not a hog. Throughout the novel, it shows the different techniques they used. They brought him food and asked him what his favorite food was, and they talked to him. But really, at the end of the day, it was just him realizing he wasn't a hog. And you can see that when he wrote in his novel. And I think the biggest thing that really, for Jefferson, turned him into thinking that he was a man was Mr. Grant treating him like a man. Also, the help from Paul, the jail keeper that was on the side of Jefferson and Mr. Grant, I think that helped out a lot too, because it made him feel more valuable. Explain how it's relevant today. So, I think that Jefferson dying as a man really symbolized the up movement of African American rights. After this, African Americans slowly got more and more rights, and I think his death really symbolized the catalyst of all these movements, because he was treated like he was a hog, like he wasn't good enough, like he was inferior, and I think the fact that he was able to overcome everyone calling him a hog and society's preconceived notions, I think that really symbolized the strength of the African American movement. Hi, Ms. Van Wagner. My name is Connor Morris, and this is part 2 of my finals, where I will be answering 5 questions that you provided for me. The first one is, how have you grown as a learner throughout the course of this semester? I've learned a lot this semester, and throughout the numerous assignments and essays and projects, I've learned how to analyze a novel better. I've learned how to analyze a film. I've learned a lot about techniques and literary techniques to help me analyze a film and the different themes that can be in a novel or a film. And I've been better able to recognize a theme and see where the theme really takes its effect in the novel, and I believe that's going to help me a lot in the future. I've also been able to learn how to write a better essay, which I've struggled with, and I used to put a lot of the quotes would be outstanding, and they'd be kind of at the end of a paragraph or before, and they wouldn't really mix in with the paragraph and the main point that I was trying to get across. But through this semester, I've been able to learn how to do that better, which will help me a lot in the future. Question number 2 is, what is the most important idea/argument that was generated in this semester's discussions, and how can you explain this concept in your own words? I think the biggest idea was really just society against the characters. Throughout all four novels and even the film that I chose, the characters were facing a problem that was out of their control. You know, it was basically society against the characters. And you can see it in A Lesson Before Dying. Jefferson faces a lot of discrimination, and that's really the basis of that book, is the fact that Jefferson can't really do anything about his skin color, yet he's being treated unfairly. And then in The Kite Runner, Amir and Baba are forced to leave Afghanistan because of the invasion of Afghanistan. And there's nothing they can do about it. They just have to leave. It's unsafe for them to be there anymore. So the theme of that book is just unhelped, like no hope, and just they just can't do anything about it. And then Joy Luck Club, all 8 narrators of that book face some form of discrimination. It's shown in the mom's life, where all 4 of them are forced to move out of their country because of some unfair treatment that they go through. And then A Curious Incident of a Dog at Nighttime, Christopher faces a lot of misunderstanding from society. They don't really understand his mental disability, and therefore they can't really connect with him like most people can. Christopher takes things literally, like he does not know what sarcasm and metaphors are, and therefore some things that might be sarcastic come off really mean to him, and so his reaction is different than most people's, and society doesn't really understand that. Number 3 is, what are the values or beliefs that inform you with this idea / argument? Throughout the years, I think the United States, really the world, has progressed to becoming a more united world. I'd say discrimination and understanding of mental diseases have gone up increasingly. And, you know, we in schools and commercials and celebrities and everybody talks about how discrimination is wrong and how we need to treat each other fairly, and especially when it comes to mental diseases and stuff, you know, people don't really understand that as much, so it's important to shine a light on those situations, and I think society does a pretty good job of that, and we've become more aware of how people act and what they do, and that helps us better understand them. For question number 4, how do you think that this issue is viewed by those with whom you disagree? I think, well, slavery obviously exists in other parts of the country, and, you know, I don't agree with that at all, but I think that people that still agree with slavery and discrimination of people that are different than them have just grown up in a different time. They have different thoughts and different beliefs, and they've grown up to hate people, hate other races or people that are different from them, and therefore they treat them differently and they treat them worse. And I believe that their society has just molded their mind to believe that they're better than other people because of the color of their skin. And then for question number 5, how can you use what you learned in this course outside the 4 walls of your classroom? I think it's going to help a lot in college. I've learned a lot about writing essays and how to cite things and how to quote things. I believe that is really going to benefit me in college, and even after that into my career. I've been able to analyze novels and films, which I didn't know how to do before, which really helps because it helps me understand a book better, and it really helps me get the lesson out of it. Thanks.